Hello. In 2010, the International Labour Organization in Geneva published a book titled Mental Health and Work: Impact, Issues, and Good Practices. It was stated there that work is at the very core of contemporary life for most people, providing financial security, personal identity, and an opportunity to make a meaningful contribution to the community life. My name is Miko Javier, and I'll be doing a paper on self-determination theory and the Filipino office worker. As a future psychologist, I'm interested with a couple of topics. First is psychotherapy, second is motivation, and third, well, not really third, but maybe if it's going to be in that order, third will be organizational behavior, like how people behave in organizations. A short background of why I'm interested with study is because I've been dealing with HR practitioners for 12 years already. And, people can always hire good people. But another challenge, two challenges actually would be retaining these people and at the same time ensuring that these people are motivated so that they will do and achieve peak performance. And when people do do their peak performance, productivity rises, and when there's productivity, there's a return of investment, which is very important for businessmen or the and stakeholders of a company. Thus, I would like to do a paper on self-determination theory and the Filipino office worker, because self-determination theory has been shown to be effective not just in the educational setting but also in the corporate setting. So the background of the study is that this study aims to see the presence of self-determination theory in the Philippine setting, particularly the sub-theory of cognitive evaluation theory. The study aims to do a preliminary study to show the importance of providing services that addresses emotional and mental well-being. Also, this study aims to know the hierarchy of needs to ensure that the proper activities are prioritized for organizations so as to ensure motivation, peak performance on productivity, and return of investment. I've seen companies invest their resources on events or activities that doesn't seem to work. So this study aims to do a preliminary study on how to help companies ensure that their events or activities are given that their activities are placed on the right channels or right avenues to ensure that they retain the best talent and motivate their people. I'll be using the theory of self-determination theory by Edward Jesse and Richard Ryan. This is a theory about human motivation and personality. It's also a theory on people's inherent growth tendencies and innate psychological needs. This theory has two sub-theories: the cognitive evaluation theory and the organismic integration theory. The cognitive evaluation theory, or CET, talks about the needs that people need to comply with. It's the need of competence, meaning a person needs to be a master of something, and he or she would need to test it from time to time. Second is relatedness. This relates very well to us Filipinos living in a nation country and with a nation culture where collectivism is given priority. People need other people to survive, and that's why there's a need for relatedness. And then the last one is autonomy, which is, yes, people people do need to compete with each other, and people do need to feel that other people need them as well as they need other people. But then again, people also need to have a mind of their own, something of their own. And the cognitive evaluation theory states that these three needs need to be satisfied, and that these three needs lead to the second sub-theory, which is the organismic integration theory, which talks about motivation. There are two kinds of motivation according to the self-determination theory: intrinsic motivation and an extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is something that's inside of the person. He doesn't need to be told what to do. The intrinsic motivation works well with intrinsic motivation, and in a way affects intrinsic motivation because it's something that's from the outside. In a work setting, it can be something that's much more like a prize or an incentive. Studies show that the value of this is from a review of related literature. Studies show that the value of a firm in a day's work, they would usually lose the full wage, that is the cash wage plus the value of their fringe benefits per day worked. Meaning, if they hire a person and that person's absent or is there but is not productive, means that they lose the daily rate that they're paying the person, as well as the other benefits that they pay. This is from the study by Polly, Nicholson, Sue in 2002. And this is one reason why we need to take importance or to show importance in addressing the losses that the companies encounter every day. According to Otto and Schmidt in their 2000 study, assisting employees with their emotional and mental health concerns can have a significant positive impact on personal and work functioning, which can produce an ROI or return of investment of between 5 to 10 times the employer's investment. This is really big. If it's like 5 to 10 times, if the organization is making 10 million a year, 10% of that's kind of big. And that's the kind of amount that they would like to improve, get and grow in. Ryan and Deci define needs as an energizing state that is satisfied, that if satisfied, let me just adjust that, conduces into health and well-being, but if not satisfied, contributes to pathology and ill-being. The three basic psychological needs are the need for competence, autonomy, relatedness. SAT posits that these three basic needs are important in understanding human motivation. Fulfillment of these three basic needs is important for the development of self-motivation, positive social functioning, and personal well-being. Deci, Connell, and Ryan in their 1989 study found out that with certain limitations, the experience of self-determination promoted by managers being autonomy supportive has positive ramifications for people's work lives. So that's how important it is, for organizations to really take notice of their employees' needs. We all know how important that is, but we would need to have a study on how will we motivate people. The analysis of empowerment and job satisfaction affirmed previous findings in the literature that empowerment is associated with positive outcomes. Although the relationship between psychological empowerment and job satisfaction was robust, the relationship of empowerment and performance was weak, although still significant. This is a research done by Filipinos Sechenova, Alampay, and Franco for the Filipino workforce. It was evaluated that according to STT, motivation is best represented along a continuum of relative autonomy. Results showed some contradictions in how motivational regulations have been described in the literature, and argue for a conceptualization that describes regulations as varying in kind rather than in degree, using a clear definition of the concept of continuum. This is by Shamoli and Gagni in 2004. Meaning to say, SAT has been used also in researchers with work. One of the last literatures that I have right now to date is a research by Conchi in 2013, which states that two field studies support the importance of autonomous forms of motivation in promoting employee safety behaviors. Intrinsic motivation was important in the relationship between safety-specific transformational leadership and employees' challenge citizenship behaviors, and identified regulation was implicated in employee safety compliance behaviors. Although this studies is about safety behaviors at work, it still touches the topic of autonomous need of the employees and the motivation that they get from it. The research gap that I see is that how does self-determination theory relate to the Philippine workforce? Also, which among the needs of autonomy, competence, and relatedness affect employee motivation more than the other two? Which among the three should be given prior attention more, and in what order, so as to ensure the proper resources are allocated? In my previous conversation with you guys, I've said that I've seen activities done by companies. It doesn't seem to really bear fruit. That's why I'm interested to know which among these three would be the first of the need of their employees or if I will be doing a research, which among these three will show what is important in a Filipino corporate worker, so that the events, activities, and programs would be geared in this hierarchy. Like, for example, if my research would show that autonomy is valued first, then they should have a program for employees having the decision to make it, or the chance to make a decision on their own, or to make projects that's clearly their own and not their managers. Or if it's competence, then I guess better incentives should be given so that people would better be able with their work. Or if relatedness, then maybe team building activities would be better. So that is why I'm really interested to know which among these three should be given priority first, other than the two. I have three hypotheses. My first hypothesis is the need for relatedness affects the Filipino workers' motivation more than the needs for autonomy and competence. This is because of us Filipinos being Asians and being collective in our thinking. So we've always been as Filipinos, we also have this Filipino psychology of kapwa, which basically tells or maybe explains why we value what the others think of us, or how we value bayanihan and other Filipino values that we have right now. Second hypothesis is the need for autonomy affects the Filipino workers' motivation more than the needs for relatedness and competence. This is because, when you are working, you are basically working for yourself or your family. So that's why I've chosen autonomy as the second. And then my third hypothesis would be the need for competence affects the Filipino workers' motivation more than the needs for relatedness and autonomy. This is because, you are working in an organization, and it is your role, and I think it is encouraged that your goal be promoted, that you are to be promoted, and that attitude basically encourages competence. The statistical analysis that I'll be doing here is a three-way analysis of variance, because I would like to know which among the three affects motivation more. So my independent variables will be need for autonomy, need for competence, and need for relatedness. And then my dependent variable is motivation. Which among these three affects motivation more? For the methodology, I'll be using a Likert scale. It's going to be an online questionnaire. It will be 100 respondents. I hope to get around corporate workers, BPO included, working in the National Capital Region, so that I could get an idea of how it is, or a sample. And the age would be 25 to 35 with at least 3 years work experience, so that I guess 3 years is a good number of experience for corporate worker, meaning they've already in a way know who they are in the workplace and what their goals are and what their values are. That ends my presentation, and I hope that you'll give me a good rating. Thank you guys. Thanks for listening.